Welcome to Designing Hollywood podcast. We are very excited today. We have a wonderful guest, and my co-host is the most amazing Mona May and Amy Parris.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And it's very exciting. You're doing one of the most exciting programs around. I mean, Stranger Things couldn't be more popular, and I love dealing with the children, the young ones. They're so professional. I'm sure it'll be great.
By the way, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to be here with both of you. It's amazing. You guys are icons. So thank you. I just had to say that.
Happy to have you, darling.
Yeah,
so
thank
nice.
you.
Yeah, fresh blood here. You know, it's good.
This young woman, she's got it going on. I could tell.
Trying. Joining season 3 was a bit of, it was a bit daunting because it's such a big show.
Yeah.
And the first season's designers did such a great job. Kimberly Adams, Malgosia, Kim Wilcox.
It looks just so adorable, and the colors are fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, really
and it
great
was
job.
such a difference from the first 2 seasons. It was really exciting to get something.
It's interesting because when you came in, they had already been on for a couple of seasons. How did you deal with your characters and trying to give them another look or continue their look with a little bit of a twist?
Right.
Or,
each season has kind of progressed by a year. So you can imagine the kids are a year older. It's the summer of 1985. So they're in between school and they know they're going to go into high school. So you start to imagine what these kids would be getting into, So I put Dustin in a Weird Al shirt thinking maybe he's getting into pop culture and music,
Cool.
Will is a little bit more in like juvenile stripes and prints because they don't have a lot of money. And he's wearing his brother's hand-me-downs. So I do like to think psychologically and bring myself into what the character's thought process is.
Of course.
And reflect that on the clothing.
Fun.
That
Really
is
fun.
that's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
The psychological aspect of it is the only, I did these young films and I had to, nothing is young. I haven't had, in Uncle Buck, I had two very small kids. They were funny, though, but they weren't on all the time.
Okay.
These kids are carrying the show. The show is about them and their experiences.
Yeah. And how involved are they, the actors, since now they kind of know who their character is. I mean, it's always so interesting. I only done once a 3-year TV show, and it was interesting how it kind of became very back and forth with actors, and then you have the showrunners involved, and because it's already a story that you're telling, and they feel so strongly about the characters.
They do. I do think that they trust the Duffer Brothers so much that I don't see a lot of back and forth in the writing changing based on their opinions, because they just value what the Duffers do.
The Duffers are in their 20s, or are they?
They're actually in their 30s. I think they're a year younger than me. I'm 36, and they're 35.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of knew going into it, that I'd relate to them with a lot of nostalgic movies and TV, and that would be another way to show them images and references.
That's great.
Because we grew up at the same time. So.
But what about the kids? Because they are younger. So, I mean, it's interesting for them to be learning about the culture that they may not even been born with. I don't know how old they are, but
they were born way after. And when I had...
we would be teaching those kids.
Right.
She comes on the show and she's bringing her perspective of what their lives are now, because she's watched those two other... That's really interesting. I was thinking, oh, God, that had to be hard. Yeah. But you know what? It was informative for you.
Yeah.
Because you could step in and see where you're going and where you're going to take them.
Exactly. And when we had our first fittings with each of them, I said, are you doing your homework? Are you watching movies? Are you listening to 80s music? And they're like, I know it by now. I think season 3, they're like, I've watched all the movies. I've listened to all the music. I mean, we'll play 80s music in the fittings just for fun. But I don't feel that they need to do any more homework. I think they're immersed in it enough. And they see how well costumes, props, hair, makeup, every department works so hard to make it so authentic. So they just time travel. They just feel like they're in the 80s.
And that's so cool. I mean, we always talked about how important it is to really have the hair and the makeup and the set dressing and everything kind of work together, because it's really can get, I mean, if the wig is bad.
Right. It can be distracting.
It can be so distracting and take you out of the place.
Oh, it can be.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
And also, I've had a hard time many times on films where a few had attitudes, you know, a little bit like they know better than you. It's difficult entering that realm. Not, you know, most actors these days are just into their roles and into their parts. But when I started, they ruled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This group of kids, a lot of them come from theater, and so they're super behaved. You know, they just
that's nice.
they're very good at like maintaining
like
their
behave.
clothes, you know, hanging them back up. I mean, they're not
Amazing.
perfect,
That's
but
good.
they're great kids and they have great parents.
That's good.
That's
Wow.
well,
That helps so
is
much.
very
That helps.
important. Yeah. And also, how, you know, coming onto a show that's had those seasons, I give you a lot of credit
Thank you.
to fall in to the rhythm of what the show is, even though you're progressing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. And, you
Thank
know, a lot of
you.
your movies are huge inspirations, obviously.
Thank you.
And yeah, that was probably the hardest thing, is just to maintain the level of how good it was and to continue on and to progress it, but also not to do it too much. I didn't want fans to think, oh, this doesn't look like their outfit. This doesn't look like their closet. So it's a balance of moving it forward.
Right. And having the fresh look of the new year, you know, different, little bit of a different period time and, you know, different colors. I actually really like that it's a little bit brighter.
It's brighter.
I found that, you know, sometimes being very muddy, and especially me coming from always doing color.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed having a little bit of a brighter color
Good.
palette.
I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah.
One of our producers, Sean Levy, was like, no more plaid, no more brown.
Oh, nice.
So we
nice.
stripped away a lot of plaid shirts out of stock just temporarily. We took away a lot of like rusts and browns and really just popped in a bunch of color. You know, in this show, Hawkins gets a mall, so you can imagine that some kids are going, you know, to buy the fashion that was out at the time. So we were able to elevate it a little bit more.
Especially there's a lot of dark, you know, dark sets or at night. I feel like it's nice to have a little bit of.
It was nice, and the lighting. I mean, it all, like I said, it all plays
beautiful
together
lighting.
so well.
Yeah, they do a beautiful job.
This is the shirt that you made for him.
So this is a shirt we made. Yeah. You know, in the script at first he was maybe going to be doing like an Indiana Jones kind of like Banana Republic safari vibe, and then they thought, you know what, let's do more of like a Magnum PI look. So, you know, it was like we found tons of shirts, we found tons of fabrics, and we settled on these two,
and
right?
push the sleeves up. It's so obnoxious. I love it.
Yes. And, you know, the bright color of this really stood out, and we liked it for bringing it in color, but it's a contemporary shirt, you know, and so part of me was like, that first shirt that you just showed is real fabric from the 80s. And so, like, we wanted the color, but we wanted it to be authentic, so we ended up building shirts and made 5 shirts.
Out of that fabric.
Yep.
The authentic fabric.
The authentic fabric that was found at International Silks and Woolens.
Hi,
ISW.
Hi,
ISW.
everybody.
Yes, ISW. Thank you.
Best place in LA for
times.
fabric, you
Yes.
guys, if anybody
Best
needs.
place.
So many times.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's like family. You go into those
They
fabric
are.
stores.
Yes.
It's like, hi.
Yes, and we
oh
bought
my
20
God.
yards and just like took it all and was just
Good.
hopeful that we had enough, and we did have enough fabric.
It's great to have that support. You know,
It
I think
is.
it's really, it's like
It-
the Western costume, the special
Oh,
fabric stores that you
Western
go to.
costume.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like they always there for you. They open late if you're running. You know, oh my God, I have to make something by tomorrow. Please stay open.
They
Or
get our business.
They
get our
business,
what
yeah.
it takes to really get involved.
We're
I
lucky.
mean, they helped
very
me
lucky.
Yeah.
enormously with so many things. When I wound up with 2 yards of something and I needed more, but I made it work.
Yeah.
And they tried their best to help me in every way possible.
Yeah.
It's people don't do that today. I
You're
don't
right.
think. I mean, I know that Mood is a big fabric store,
Yeah.
which they became from the
Project Runway.
show.
Yeah, they
exactly,
became very big,
from
yeah.
the competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that show.
So where did they come from? Suddenly
They were in New York. They were a big fabric store in New York. That was a
Yeah.
great
That's what
resource
I
to
was
have
gonna-
it there. Yeah.
Suddenly
yeah.
there's
yeah.
a Mood out here.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
really interesting.
And it gets really busy. So I've found make a friend at Mood, so they can help you swatch fabric, you know, because you come in such a rush and you want to have fabric. So Ernie's my dude at
Oh, nice.
at
He's your
Mood.
dude.
Hi, Ernie.
I'm like, is Ernie here? Can you help me find this?
Hi,
Yeah.
Ernie.
Hi,
I
Ernie.
hope to see you soon.
Yeah, and
One of these
I
days.
think
Right.
it's so
Okay.
important, you know,
Yeah.
like really to have the right shoppers, the right people
Yeah.
that you can really, you know, rely on. I mean,
Yes.
it's really. I mean, we are nothing without these people.
It's true.
Who
You know,
really?
Something interesting. Eddie Marks took the Breakfast Club to Chicago for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was juggling 2 other projects
Okay.
at the same. It just all wound up to be at the same time. They just fell over each other. But Eddie took them, and he stayed with them that whole time. And I visited, of course. But they, they were dressed. They had their looks together.
Yeah.
But he was the greatest costumer
Oh my God, amazing.
awesome.
that you can't imagine.
Amazing.
Well, you see how he is.
Yeah, perfection.
So exactly, just as a person dealing with us,
Yeah.
with designers, and the craziness of everything
Yeah.
that we deal.
Yeah.
Nobody knows really the truth of what goes on
They don't.
with us and how we
What costume designer
accomplish
does? Yeah,
Right.
get
absolutely,
that
no way.
thing up on the screen.
Yes.
I mean,
And what
Insa-
you're doing with this is so beneficial, not only to designers, and to each other, but to people that are thinking about getting into the industry. And
Yeah.
I heard on one of your podcasts you're going to write a book. I think that's so smart and so helpful for so many.
well, it's
Beautiful.
going to be the educational thing.
Yeah.
I did boards on everything I do, character boards. I just cut out. I'll sketch if I can't find the look I'm looking for, just to depict that personality and their color,
Yeah.
whatever colors. So
Do you do that too, Amy, or what's your process?
I wish I could say that I can sketch. I'm working on it, but that was one class that was not at my program. I went to Long Beach State,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
studied fashion design and fashion
Oh,
merchandising.
cool.
And it was between that and the costume concentration, because I always knew I wanted to be a costume designer. But
Oh,
the
great.
costume concentration, you had to donate your, volunteer your time. Oh, that's by Amanda Owen, who did the sketches for us
Beautiful.
for season 3.
Beautiful. Is she in our local or?
She is.
Oh,
She's
wonderful.
705.
You
She's
work-
also a commercial
you
stylist.
worked with her
Great.
to get the look.
Yeah,
of
this
each.
came up when I got the job for season 3. The Duffers said, there's not a lot of new characters, but we really want to focus on Dustin's coming home from camp outfit and the Scoops Ahoy outfits that Steve and Robin were wearing.
Nice.
I
So
love these stuffers.
I know, me too.
It's like they're present.
They're
They write
present,
it,
they're clear.
They're there.
Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes. So Amanda helped me with the sketches, and that's something during quarantine I've been
Right.
practicing,
Nice.
but it's it's hard.
But I think it's good for a designer to, even if, like, I'm not a perfect, illustrator, but it's good to know because you can always correct
Yes.
it. You can work with the illustrator. I
Absolutely.
think it's
Yeah.
it's just giving a little helpful hints because sometimes it's hard to explain, verbally what that is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
A certain kind of fit or something. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think it's good to.
Exactly.
What I did with sketches was Lois Yarmond
Yeah.
I
Oh
would
my
do
God. Yes.
likenesses because I had my actors.
Mm-hmm.
So to show the directors, especially if the director didn't actually write the piece for the characters, it's a whole different world when you have the director who actually wrote the script and is there casting the
Yes.
characters for his story. It's a big difference than having a director come onto a show
Right.
with the
Right.
characters
Right.
already
Absolutely.
in place
Yeah.
for the producers. It's the
Right.
producer show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, we go through a very difficult, it can be very complex.
It can.
Personality-wise, presentationally.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. What if they don't know fashion too? I mean, I've worked with
Right.
directors when
Oh,
when you're
God,
trying
I
to it's an
know.
A-line skirt or something modern. They're like, well, what is that? I
Yeah.
don't know. And
And
it's
the
really
actor,
confusing. I think
Yes.
it's confusing to actors, and it's
Well, sometimes the actor says, well, the producer's a friend of mine,
Right.
So that's going to change a lot of
Right.
things,
Right.
right?
yes.
Okay.
We all been there.
We take a lot of stuff. We stuff it down.
Yes.
And we just deal with what we have to deal with.
And we understand it's the director's, vision, so we want to appease them and make them happy. But I will say the Duffers are really good at saying, what do you think, or what do the actors think? And I don't know about you guys,
Nice.
but I don't get asked that very often
No,
from directors.
That's
definitely not.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So they're super
there
collaborative.
Were a few. Most of the people that I worked with
Mm-hmm.
were the producers,
Okay.
and they brought on a director. So my action movies, they were all done through the producers. Basically, had the script and hired the director to do it
Okay.
because he was a specialist at doing this or doing.
Yeah.
And it works for that genre. It was great. I love juggling all the genres because I don't know how I got into it, but it just kept happening. But
Well, that's great because I find that sometimes, we get kind of put into little drawers, like, she
Yeah.
only does comedy or she only does drama
Yeah.
or whatever,
Right.
So
you're right.
It's
I
nice
mean,
to
it's-
refresh your brain and pivot
well, I think as an
sometimes.
artist too, you want to,
Yeah.
show all your kind of,
Yeah.
artistry in every way.
Mhm.
I mean, it's interesting when I was doing all the comedies in the 90s, it was Romeo and Michelle, Never Been Kissed, and, Wedding
She's a
Singer
great-
I know.
and Clueless. And then I got a chance to do 8mm with Nick Cage, which was a very dark movie directed by Joel Schumacher, and it was great to really have that opportunity to kind of show a completely different side of
Yeah.
my art.
That's
and
great.
So it's I think we have to fight as designers, I think, too,
And
to
he
do
was a
different
designer.
projects.
Keep yourself
He
from
was-
pigeonholes.
He
Yes.
was a difficult person because he was a designer
Himself,
as
he
well.
was a costume
Oh,
designer as well.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, and he was an artist. He really, truly,
Yeah.
he was, brilliant. Really, his vision was always brilliant. But I'm curious about you and your journey too, because you worked as a costumer.
Yeah.
So you were on set, and that's kind of a very interesting kind of journey because
Yeah.
you're learning a lot, I think, when you're
Oh,
on set.
so much.
and-
I'm so glad I actually went the path I went. So after Long Beach State, or during Long Beach State, I had a couple internships, and I had one at a couture dress shop in Newport Beach. A woman was making gorgeous gowns for rich women.
Oh, good.
So I got to learn fine fabrics. And then I did an internship at Western Costume, and I was in the research library.
Fantastic.
with Bobby
wow,
Constantine.
I love, yeah.
Yes.
The girls up there, they're great.
Yeah,
That's
and there was
great.
a moment where I think Mary Zofries was doing Indiana Jones, and they asked me to bring some research down to that office in the corner, the big one. And I walked in, and there's easels, and there's people illustrating, and there's fabric, and I just thought, this is so cool. This is exactly what I want to be doing. I remember the first time I walked into Western, and I was just like, this is where I'm meant to be. You know that feeling
Yeah.
where you're just like, this
Yeah.
is the path, and I'm there.
Yeah.
So while I was in college, my roommate and I were doing music videos and small independent movies for friends.
Great.
And, I wasn't familiar with a call sheet. I didn't have a supervisor. I didn't know what SWF meant, like for the longest time. I had no idea. But I was pulling clothes out of my closet, asking to borrow
right.
clothes from friends, thrift stores.
Right.
Just making it work
Yeah.
for little to no money just because I loved the idea of creating characters
That's-
with our clothes, right?
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
those are the beginnings. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
did that
is.
too.
It's
We
really
all did it.
good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's those late nights where you're sewing it yourself because
Yep.
as a fashion design, fashion merchandising program, I got to bring my sewing machine to school nearly every day, and we did
Nice.
fashion shows. So to have that background of sewing is super super helpful.
I think so. Construction,
incredible.
absolutely.
Yeah, and so I met a supervisor, Michael Russell, who brought me onto a couple of reality TV shows. One of them being America's Got Talent, season 4.
Right.
That was co-designed by Warden Neal and Danielle Lonzel. And, there's glitter and feathers and fabric, and it was so exciting as a
Fun.
PA.
Fun.
So I just kept pursuing it, and Michael Russell was like, I'm going to do a show with Anne Crabtree called Justified. So I came onto that as her PA and continued to work with her for years.
Nice.
Got in the union on a project that flipped in 2010.
Yay,
So within my
fantastic.
years of 705, I did set.
Great.
I shopped. It was so nice
So
to
you
see all the
really-
different
the
jobs.
range of
Yeah.
all of it. That's wonderful.
I really knew I didn't want to be a set costumer, but I thought, why not take this opportunity? I did it with Robin Wazan. The opportunity to do set and just see what that's like so that you know what it's like as a designer
I
when you're
think it's
asking your
awesome.
crew to
Good
do
for
something.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you
Yeah.
because a set takes a lot of patience
Yeah.
and a lot of, oh my God, you have to be those eyes. You gotta
Yes.
be
Yeah, and I
eyes
think you see the inner workings too of things. I mean, I love the movie Her, and you worked on it. And I think I would love to just be little,
Oh, it was
eyes on the wall
so
and just kind
cool.
of see the process
Yeah.
because I think the clothes were genius. How she kind of, so subtle design that
yes.
that look was just really, really brilliant.
That
so
was designed by Casey Storm, and I was just sort of an additional costumer on that, but I was with them every day. And to see him choose what the future was going to look like,
Process.
so cool.
it's so
cool.
smart.
Just such a subtle little waistband being high, or the color palette was gorgeous. So
Yeah.
I think it's really great education for
Great.
someone
And
to.
one thing I learned from him, and it was really valuable going forward, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. When you're designing, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like something that you do. So when he decided to raise
Yeah.
the pants waist and take away all the denim just to show a substantial
Yeah.
difference for the future, he knew some people would think that doesn't work, but it was so effective,
Oh,
right?
so
it was such a
effective.
different silhouette
Yeah.
and such a different
Yeah.
look to just subtly show the future. So I
Beautiful.
learned, not everybody's going to like what you do, but don't let that stop you from doing what you
As long
want
as
to
it's
do.
based in a psychological
Yeah.
or reality of some kind.
or whatever
that-
reality you're creating too,
Yeah.
because he was creating kind of a weird, strange future,
then
you know,
it's
without having to
part
be
of it.
sci-fi in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I think was very cool.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to explain also to the producers, to people that don't understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah,
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's
it can be. Yeah. So after working with Casey on her and other films and features and TV shows, a lot of stuff I did with Anne for quite a few years. Anne brought me on as her assistant costume designer
Oh, lovely.
for Masters of Sex season 2, and then we
Great.
did Westworld season 1.
Oh, fantastic.
And around
That's a
2000
great shows. I mean,
Yes.
both fabulous shows.
Beautiful
yeah,
shows.
Yeah, very hard,
very hard.
to do and very
She's a very good
sophisticated.
designer.
She's so great. I
Yeah.
consider her a mentor that really taught me so much. The way
Yeah.
she interacts with actors, I've never seen anybody connect like she
Beautiful,
does.
beautiful.
It's a skill because,
Yeah.
It
as you
is.
know, it's like you're kind of a bit of a therapist at times.
Oh, my
yeah.
God, yes.
You know, and she's really good at.
Mood changer therapist, mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy, I like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So worked with her for quite a while. ACD'd for her, and then Beth Morgan got Glow for Netflix, and she had another show that she was going to step away from, and she's like, "Do you want me to put you up for it?" And I was like, "Do you think they'd go for it?" Because I didn't have a network credit. I had a bunch of small independent stuff. She was like, "Why not? Why don't we ask?" And so they called me that day at like 2:00 to have an interview the next day. And so that night I went, grabbed tear sheets, grabbed magazines, went on the computer and made boards, and I don't think they were expecting me to come in with anything, but I was like, I'm not
Character
going to show up
boards, Yeah.
empty-handed. I had a script, so why not? And so luckily I showed up with stuff and they hired me, and so that was my first network credit.
Oh, fantastic.
Good.
Yeah, so to
That's-
be in 705 and 892
Right.
I think is super
Well,
helpful.
you're also smart, and you have to
Oh,
have,
thank you.
you're putting all the things together,
Yeah,
and you're seeing how you can operate within those confines, and that's very cool.
Yeah, and I think
Thank you.
pushing too. I think something when you get the chance to get it, 2:00, you find out you have the interview, you're going to
Yes.
stay up all night, you're going to do
Yes.
it, you're going to push it. And I think that is such an important thing for our audiences to know. It's like you have to really take the extra step.
Yes.
You really have to do it, because if
Absolutely.
you can go like, oh, they just don't even expect me to bring anything. And
Yeah.
it's like, you just roll
Totally.
in like, hey, what's up?
one night of losing sleep to get an entire job.
Oh my
it's
God!
so worth
And what a
it.
fantastic job! And
So worth it.
oh my God! So it's really, I think,
Yeah.
a lot of the young kind of people are up and coming in the business, or kids who are graduating. I think that's such an important story for them to learn. Like it's really you gotta
just
go
keep
for
pushing
it.
and
Yeah,
go for it.
yeah. You gotta take all the
It's so
stops.
interesting
Yeah.
because what seems so simple is so complex.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah.
the players alone,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to find you are finding your characters and you're presenting them, and psychologically you got to work that as well with the actor, with
Yes.
the
Right,
powers that
right,
be, whatever
right.
it was.
But to get the job, you have to wow them. I mean, you have to walk in, and you really have to. I mean, when I'm interviewing assistants or you interviewing assistants, you want somebody who you're going to leave an impression that you're going
Yes.
to remember.
Yeah.
What did they bring? They made
Show
the
'em that you
effort.
want it.
You show them you want it.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, really a big clue. Like how. I mean, to this day, I, maybe don't have to, but I do it all the way through, I mean, Enchanted I got because I made such crazy presentation when, it was a
awesome.
book that I, covered with fabric and,
Oh.
did some sketches and, put some ideas there. And I mean, they were like opening this magical book. They remember me. I got the second meeting and I beat some really big designers.
See, that's again something for our listeners
Yeah.
to listen. If you guys
Yeah.
are still making
Relating.
boards,
Because
you're so
you're-
established,
Yeah.
but
Totally.
Yeah, you want. I think because you also like what you're talking about, connecting with the director and really like finding. Are you on the same page? It's like,
Yeah.
are you creatively kind of meshing? All of that is important because that will make a better movie.
yeah.
If you have, you can have a little bit of that shortcut and learning about it in that meeting already. You
Yeah.
get the job. You're like, oh, I get this person.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so much easier.
Totally.
The one time I wanted a show so badly, I wanted Romancing the Stone. I wanted that movie. That's all I can tell you. Angelina,
Hot
here
and
I come.
steamy.
Yeah. I stayed up, and my husband at the time took me to Warner Brothers the next day. I was up for 24
Oh.
hours, cutting out and even giving a look to the eye of the Angelina character, and what everyone looked like. Everyone. And I just did it. You know, I went through research. I stayed up all night long, but I had this board.
Yeah.
And there I was going. And I had a board for Michael Douglas and a board for Kathleen Turner for the characters. And what the police looked like, what Danny DeVito was going to be, you know.
Yeah.
Everything. I didn't even know what I was doing. It was all in my head. I studied the script. I studied everything I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I brought these boards. They were the first ones that I did such detail.
Yeah.
And that was it became the film.
Yeah.
I mean, which I was surprised. I mean, I wanted to show off that I get these characters and I, you know, can offer myself up to this show and be an addition to what, you know, and help. And I got the job. It was like I was shocked.
Well, it's love what you do. It shows,
Yes.
but I think it shows the love and kind of, you know, the excitement that we have for our jobs and what
and
we
I
know.
didn't have an agent.
Amazing.
I know.
Amazing. Bravo,
But our excitement,
Yeah.
yes, the excitement and the presentation and showing how badly you want
Yeah.
You care. And then you care. You want to
And you
make your
care.
project better. You want to really bring yourself to it and,
Yeah.
you know, elevate it. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's very important because it's, you know, our creativity is on the line and say who we are, you know, as artists. And I think to show that is so important. I mean, I'll go to the last store, even if it's 10 p.m. to find the one thing. And I'm
don't
sure
you
you're
what
the
I
same
love
thing.
about
You
it.
know,
Yeah.
it's
She
like,
goes the whole 9 yards.
That's cool.
yeah.
I don't know how not to do that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
And isn't it always the
part
last
of
store
the-
where you find what you're
Always,
looking for?
right?
You're like, I'm so glad I stayed up till
It's
10
so
to find
true.
this.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Or that I went to that other
it's
thrift
part
store
of our
across the
Yeah.
street.
DNA.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
like-
It's like you can feel when you don't have it,
Yeah.
and then you can feel when you find it.
it's so
And we
true.
push ourselves.
Yeah.
But you have to be lucky enough to be in a place that they notice it,
Yeah.
that you get it
Right.
from all your hard work.
Yeah.
Right.
When you know, getting Romancing the Stone is very exciting for me, and to this day, those I wish I could show you those boards. They're at the
Me
Academy,
too.
but those boards were the movie.
Yeah.
It turned out
Wow.
to
Yeah.
be the movie, and I'm so proud. I was so proud.
That's so wonderful.
It's amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing, you know. And then you really feel like you contributing, you know, which is
Absolutely.
great. And what you were talking about, your producers, creators of Stranger Things too. It's so nice to be involved and kind of really.
They were so involved. I
Yeah.
brought boards when I got the interview for Stranger Things season 3. They were like, you don't have to bring anything. The look is established. Again, another thing. I had more notice than 2 p.m. the day before.
Right.
But I made boards for that thinking, okay, well, it's another year and it's summer.
And it's you.
And it's me. So I was born in 83, but we had a lot of family photos. So I
Stop
went
bragging.
home. I went home and I asked my mom for all our pictures. And I made a board with family photos from the
Oh,
80s.
great.
And then I made like summer, you know, kids at camp and families on vacation. And Sean Levy, one of the producers, was like, oh, we got to make that shirt. Oh, we got to make this.
great.
You showed
So,
life
yes, to
as
see.
it happens in those
Yeah.
in that period of
Yeah,
time.
or if they write,
Which-
you know, Weird Al shirt, you know, on
Perfect.
Dustin in the script, when you influence it to make it on the page, I think that part is so cool. When
Yeah.
you see,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
when you
Oh,
see
yeah.
your thoughts and that vision that they take and they go, oh yeah, let's add this in there.
So cool.
That's the
so
greatest
great.
compliment.
That's just
So
so
cool.
great.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so funny. Yeah, that's when I met John Hughes. He asked me to do the 16 Candles.
Oh,
when
we
he
love
first
that
came
movie,
to
of
town.
course. I
Yes.
mean,
No, but
forever.
I was doing Romancing the Stone. There's no way
that
you're
why
gonna
you
get
didn't
me
do
away
it?
from that one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No. He didn't talk to me. He didn't like me anymore.
What?
After, well, he didn't like being told no. You know, and I was told no for a reason because I was already hooked up on something that I really was so excited about.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, he came to me afterwards. That's when I
Oh, my
started
God.
with him. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
You made up
But-
for it.
that's good.
yeah.
Well, Pretty in Pink, it's, you know, forever in our hearts.
Forever.
It's me
So,
in my life.
Yeah.
It's so iconic.
So
You had to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
back to you. And how do you? So, what are your favorite projects you worked on? And
gosh.
kinda- I mean, The Glow seems like, oh my god, that would
No,
be so much fun to do.
I mean,
or like,
that's Beth
wow.
Morgan's show.
Right.
And the show that I did instead of her doing the show
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she went to Glow. I got Making History, and it was a show for Fox that was
Oh, yes.
it was on time travel.
Okay.
And so we went to like the 1800s, the 1920s, the 1990s,
wow.
and for a sitcom, you can imagine
That's
5
hard.
days of prep.
Holy
That's
shoot.
really hard.
People
So-
don't realize how hard TV is.
And
You
they
know, I mean, it's
don't.
like really hard.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
me
yeah.
coming from film and now having to jump into the Netflix and all this stuff, it was
Yes.
like 360. Like, wow.
Because you
I
did
mean,
Santa Clarita Diet.
I did Santa Clarita Diet,
Isn't
which
that
is
great?
so
That
good.
show
but
is
was so much
great.
like multiple same thing, you know, when you
Yes.
have to make the shirts and you have to find these things last minute, you know,
Yeah.
what Drew is going to wear and then figure that out, and then everybody else kind of revolves around her
And
look,
doubles
you
and
know.
triples
Yep.
and
Oh my god.
quadruples
Oh,
and-
this was
my
five
God.
5 and more because you know
Yeah.
the
Wow.
blood everywhere,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think period shows too, and finding stuff, and
Period
then if they
and
have
TV.
period and TV, I really give the designers who do
It's
that so
hard.
beautiful. I mean, like
The
Mrs.
budgets.
Maisel and you know shows like this, like wow, how do
Yeah.
you turn this around every week? But kudos to you,
Oh,
seriously.
thank
I mean,
you. I mean,
yeah.
it's challenging, and we couldn't do it without our crews, of course. We know that our crews
Oh,
support
yeah.
us so
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
The budgets are lower, the time is faster. So I've just found that my niche right now is television. I would love to do period film eventually.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I mean, who wouldn't? But
You'll do it.
I
Yeah,
want to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But of course, like Stranger Things is a favorite project of mine as far as designing. As far as working on it, like we were saying, Her was just a beautiful thing to be a part of and to see. And
well, it brought you to where you are. I
Yes.
think you know the journey is the beauty.
The
I
journey
think that's
is the
where we
beauty.
are, and I
Yeah,
think
you're
learning
in a
on
good
the
place.
Yeah.
You're in
on-
a very good place.
Yeah.
I worked as an assistant designer for Paco Delgado on
oh
Wrinkle
my
in Time.
God, he is genius.
He's genius.
Oh,
He's brilliant. Ava DuVernay was the director of that, and
Beautiful.
it was like making couture gowns for film quickly. And Stacey Horn was our supervisor, and she also helped make it work. I mean, the way that we were able to grab fabrics from New York and whip up these garments so fast and do all these unique treatments, it was really exciting to
where
see
were
that.
you prepping it?
That was at Western.
Oh my God,
That was
yeah,
at that
go
corner
Western.
room. Yes, go Western.
Yes.
That was in that corner office, the big one in the back, where I walked in
Yeah.
to Mary Zofri's space and was just like,
Yeah.
I want to do
Talking
this.
about
And then I found
support.
myself in that room, so that was
That's
cool.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, you know, I had to make an announcement that I should have made when we first came in
Okay.
to my little niece, who is Abby
Yes.
Valdez, who is in love with Stranger Things.
Oh.
She is your #1 fan.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And she's so excited. I wanted her to come here today, but she couldn't
Okay.
for whatever reason. But it's so, to have a child like that, to be so excited, and she's so, you should see how she dresses.
Oh,
and
yeah?
how she, oh my
Cute.
God,
How old is she?
presents herself.
Cute.
What, she's 13 now?
Perfect,
At
perfect
13?
age.
That's that age where you think about head to toe.
Everything.
Yeah. And everything.
yeah.
You're right.
And she's so, Abby,
Abby.
this is your show.
Thank you,
Yay.
Abby.
This is your girl.
Thank you for being a fan,
Yay.
Abby. It's so
Stranger
cool.
Things.
That's so kind.
Fantastic.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you, yeah, for
she,
sure.
You just
Yeah.
made a little girl.
Oh.
And this is
fly.
amazing about our job. I think this is what's so cool. You know, it's like Clueless 25th anniversary. I mean, for 25 years to inspire women
amazing.
all over the world, you know, the kids and, you know, Stranger Things. I mean, the following is huge. It's like,
Yeah.
it's,
And to be sitting here and having, I remember Clueless, and I was like, I can't wait for this to come out. And that's when you'd go to the theater with your friends. So
Yeah.
to be
that
sitting in
film
front of both of you,
amazing?
talking with you is incredible. Like the way that, full circle, it's incredible.
Right.
But you also, she is the type of person who creates that kind of atmosphere because she worked with the director very closely.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone, you can't always get with the director
Yeah.
or the writer or
Yeah.
whoever it is to
Yeah.
get the show to be, get more information, and they'll work with you. And
Oh my God, to be
You
so
did an
lucky to work with
amazing
Amy
job with
Heckling, who is a
Amy.
total fashionista. I mean, she knows
Cool.
fashion, and
Oh,
you know,
wow.
she knew I was from Europe and wanted that kind of a look, that very high end look, more European runways, and then translated into the high school.
accomplished it.
But to have the director, like you're saying, to really be there with you and go, let's do hats, let's do this, let's change them 5 times a day, let's all the support of the visionary, somebody like that. It's fantastic, and I think it makes it for us to shine. Like
Yeah.
you saying, your guys
but
too.
it
They just
also
like
gives us a joyous energy
yeah,
that we put out
yeah,
For sure.
to
Yeah.
our actors,
Yeah.
to the crew. They-
Totally,
They love
totally.
having you around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're adding good vibes.
Yeah.
I know that
yeah.
sounds so hippie. Good
No,
vibes,
good
but,
vibes.
you know.
Absolutely. We need more good vibes in
Yes.
this world, darling. I
We
mean,
do.
seriously,
I know.
let's
Especially
bring
right
good
now.
vibes. I mean,
Does Abby want to follow in your footsteps? What does Abby want to do?
I don't know. That's a good question. Abby, we're going to wind up asking you some questions later this evening.
Yeah.
You better be prepared.
Do you know how to sew, Abby?
Because if this is the area you want to go into,
It's helpful.
well, yes. You've got a lot of help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And also, Amy gave you a very sweet gift that Martika has to give you.
Oh, yeah. I made her a mask with the hopper shirt fabric. You know, it just seems
Amazing.
perfect. So if you have to be out in town and if anybody recognizes it, she can say, oh, it's the fabric.
She made you a mask with one of the most famous shirts on Stranger Things. And I wonder if anyone's going to recognize where that
Right.
fabric came from.
We'll
I
see.
think so. I think
Yeah.
so. I think so. They're
So
going to be
cool.
running
That's
after her in the
so cool.
street.
Right.
One of a kind.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, this is so fortunate. What a lovely person you are.
You
on
guys
top
are
of
so
it.
lovely.
And you work hard. I like it.
Thank you.
No, I really,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
respect
yeah,
that
yeah.
so
Thank
much.
you.
I
That
mean,
means a
it's
lot coming from you guys.
Very fast rise, I think. You know,
I mean,
that's
I'm sure
pretty
you
amazing.
remember,
like-
you know, for starting, there were nights you'd come home and you have no laundry. I remember going to like Target and buying underwear and socks. 'Cause I had no time to do laundry, you know? Like,
I know costume designers, we don't have time to
we
do
don't
our
have
laundry,
time and we don't
seriously.
often put ourselves, you know, forward. It's
First.
usually the job. And so to have you guys recognize that means so much. And I know that not a lot of people know me. And so the fact that you know, wanted to interview me means a lot. I really
We
appreciate that.
dug you out of there.
Talk about Utopia.
She did, yes. And from what I understand, you're embarking on an incredible show called Utopia.
Yeah, so Utopia comes out this fall. I'm not sure when, but it comes out on Amazon, and it's a show that I co-designed with Alix Friedberg, who I met on the show.
Fantastic.
I hadn't worked with her before, but she is fantastic. Big Little Lies, Sharp
Yes,
Objects.
of course.
She's got a very nice reputation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she is just a nice person in general.
Nice.
She's wonderful. And we actually shot that in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
So that was really fun to get to travel and go to
cool.
that city. That city's lovely. That crew works so hard. I'm
I
sure
Good
you
lived
cruise,
there
have.
for
good
so
cruise.
long.
Yeah.
I did
Cruise.
movie after movie. I
Yeah, I've
couldn't-
done few
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
They're good
Chicago.
cruise. Yeah, very good
Great
cruise.
cruise.
John Hughes.
What's
lived
the show
there.
about?
So it's sort of, it actually kind of almost has a Stranger Things vibe in
Okay.
that it's a little bit, you know, it's conspiracy theorist. It's this graphic novel that these kids have found. They've found the next issue, and there's a deep state organization after them.
Oh, how
Mm.
interesting, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And there were some challenges. You know, our lead actress, she became pregnant at the beginning of the series. And
Okay.
so, you know, as designers, we work around that and make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really exciting, and I think
But
it's a good
those
show for
sketches
Amazon.
are fabulous. Whoever did those sketches.
Very cool.
It's a Brazilian artist,
Oh,
and he did the
cool.
whole comic book. And I think that's something they'll sell. You
Oh,
know,
Oh,
yeah,
it's a
beautiful.
comic. Of course, this show is going to be huge.
I think it will be.
It's
That's
already
great.
being pre-sold.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Very
amazing.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
fabulous.
And like you were saying, you know, to shift from period to do contemporary, to do something that's a little like near future.
Oh,
Gillian
cool.
Flynn was the showrunner. And
Okay.
Gillian Flynn, you know, Sharp Objects,
Oh, okay.
Gone Girl. Her mind is incredible.
Oh,
and
nice.
anytime I'd ask her a question, you could just see the wheels churning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always, you know, layered in something that she has planned that maybe she hasn't revealed. But we have a lot of hidden messages within the clothes that I hope people.
Fun. Oh,
love
very
this
cool. Very
woman.
cool.
Yeah,
My God.
it's exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
This looks like it's going to be another Stranger Things.
I hope so. I think people will find it's very cool.
You got a very big cast. They're all young.
Yeah.
How can you miss with those drawings
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
Yeah.
with what's going? Whoever, I mean, wrote it and then chose, you know, did the casting
Yeah. And it's
and chose the direction of the artwork.
Mhm.
That's very important.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
edgy.
and
It's
there was
very
a
edgy, yeah.
the UK version went for 2 seasons.
Oh.
I think there were 6 episodes both.
Okay.
So it's sort of, you know, a take on that built for
Good.
us, built for us being like Americans.
They make great shows.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Better than ours.
Yes.
I gotta- they are. They just.
Right.
They just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think Europe is so much more about art too. You know,
It
because
is.
it's kind of it doesn't have to maybe sell as much as maybe here.
Yeah.
and they take that a little bit more seriously.
It's
yeah,
true.
I think
It's
so.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's coming out this fall. So
And they
hopeful
planning
that
second
it'll-
season, or they waiting to see?
You know,
or-
I think that if it airs and they get a good response, they'll
Mhm.
probably plan to do it really soon.
When did
which
you do it?
I did it gosh, it's like, what year is this now? I can't even think of what month we're in.
I
But
don't
it
even
was
2020
yeah,
still.
Yes.
right, it was last year. It was most of last year. I started it was most of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
Eight
quite a
episodes or
pass.
10
I mean,
episodes or
It was 8 episodes.
mm-hmm.
10 episodes, excuse me.
10 episodes.
And
yeah.
I do think, and you can speak on this too, the challenges of like coming back to work where all the projects are going to overlap.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
You know, it might
yeah.
be crazy because if
I already have that happening. It's
Yeah.
like, the one thing that's supposed to start 4 months ago, it's starting. The thing that was canceled is starting. And
Whoa.
Wow.
it's just, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think for all reasons of just crewing,
Yes.
spaces,
It's going to be interesting to see how you're going to work in
Yeah.
a studio, on a
Mhm.
set. And
yeah. I mean, even shopping, I was at the mall yesterday, just had to get something, personal stuff. And I was like, oh, just walk into Zara and see what's happening. And I just
What?
walked over there, and it was like 20 people in line to get
Wow.
it to the inside of the store. And I was like, wow,
and
how
they
is
only
that
let
going to
a
work?
certain amount in at a time.
Yes. How is that going to work?
And was
I
there
mean,
stock?
That's how
Were
it's
there-
going to
I
work.
didn't even get in. I just
even get in.
left. I
Yeah.
just was like, I'm not going to wait. I mean, that could
Target.
have been hour and a half. I don't know
Yeah.
how
The
slow.
supermarket, all the necessity stores, you have to stand online. And
Right. But for us, the work thing, I mean, how the
It'll be
girls
a
are going
longer
to do it.
prep,
It's
I
going to
would
really
assume.
be like,
It's
and
impossible. So sad.
Mm-hmm.
and the online thing is not that easy. People think just order online. It's not really that easy because
No.
there's still shipping issues. And let's say you're waiting for something and it doesn't arrive on time. Or
And
I mean,
how
I've
you
had
don't get to
packages
feel it or
lost.
touch it or
And see what
Yes.
it is.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's so important.
It's so
when
important.
it comes to, shopping, looking at things, touching it,
Yeah.
holding it up, thinking about it. You know,
Yeah.
it just when you look back, it meant
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
Mhm.
now.
What's your I mean, since you're a younger designer, do you do more online or
We
do you,
have
or,
been
Mhm.
recently, up until now.
Mhm.
But I really do want to keep the clothes, authentic to the period. So for Stranger Things, for example, we
Yeah.
build a lot.
Okay.
We have 2 full-time tailors. And so if we do end up needing multiples and if we don't have time to build it, or if we find something that's tweakable, I may take a polo and shorten a stripe or make something different so that it can be even more true to the
Right.
period. Or, change the silhouette just so it's more of an 80s silhouette.
What shops do you use? Do you go
Um,
or
For, it's Etsy is like a easy go-to, right, for vintage. Rusty zipper. And then if there's new stuff that I'm looking for, I'll check brands that are heritage brands like Wrangler or Levi's or
Yeah.
even like Land's End. You can find stuff that's just sort of classic. that you
timeless
could
almost? Yeah, timeless
Exactly.
stuff.
Land's End. Oh my God.
Right?
My-
Yeah.
Still good.
Yeah.
Memories.
And then with it being in Atlanta, there's some vintage shops out there.
Oh yeah.
But it's hard not being in Los Angeles because we
It's-
have all of
yeah.
our costume houses and
Yeah.
we have all of our great vintage
Yeah.
stores. And luckily, as I'm sure you've done, you've made, like we were saying with our vendors, you make those connections. So people will send us stuff.
Oh great.
I'll ask for a box and they'll send
Yeah.
us stuff from like Pennsylvania or Florida or New York.
Nice.
And we get to sort of keep it on approval and send it back. I'm hoping they'll still do that in this new era
They're
of
going to not have a choice now because
people won't be there,
It's
right?
going to be busier than ever on that level.
That's
of,
true.
Right.
of
right,
doing
right,
it.
Right. Right.
Because otherwise, what are you going to get? I
Right.
mean, you
And also stores are closing. I mean, there's rumors of
Yeah,
Neiman Marcus
terrible.
closing.
Ugh.
Different stores.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a few Anthropologie stores closed down. I mean, it's.
Wow.
I think the pool is getting smaller and smaller. It's going to be
is.
Saks Fifth Avenue
I
or
know.
Target
That
or
big- Well,
thrift
you know
store.
what's going to do well is Buffalo Trading.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I love Buffalo
yeah.
Trace.
That
they're
big
so good.
Barney's in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
When we were doing Utopia, John Cusack's in that film,
Oh.
or sorry, in Utopia, in that TV show, and we had a moment where we had to go return something that we had on approval. It was like they wiped it out in a day. We went back to return it, and it was empty. The Barney's was gone.
Wow.
Crazy. So we have to
Wow.
get used to, losing our brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh boy.
I know.
Yeah. It's so.
But you know what, we adjust. I think we costume designers, it's kind of like what this business is about. You know, we all, I mean, I've been talking to so many producers about this, and it's like we always reinvent each other. We always kind of, you know, the hardest things that we have to have face on a production where things change last minute, and we have to come up with this amazing dress, you know, in 2 hours, or, you know, something ripped and now you have to fix it. So I feel like we are, I don't know, it's kind of a business where we solve problems. So I feel that
It's
this,
that's
you know,
right on.
and I think that we all kind of collectively will come together, and, you know, maybe it won't be easy for the first few months, but it's somehow, you know, and I really hope the vaccine comes and things kind of get a little easier. I mean, I think the hardest thing for me will be really missing the collaboration on set and being with people, and just because when you are together and you're like, you know, you look at the prop guy and go, hey, gets this, or
that's the heart of it.
you know, to be so separated. I think that's what's gonna be like, oh, I just want to hug you.
I know, and then to be in a fitting and to be all PPE'd up in a fitting and trying to hem a skirt.
Yeah.
And what about aging this stuff? I mean, I've done so many action things. I've had lines of 17 for the main actor and 17 for his stunt double.
Right.
All in progression of degradation that we're hanging for the scene. I'm telling you, this is going to be something else. I had like 4 people working alone on just, you know.
Yeah. And it's such important, such an important part of our job. I mean, I think, you know, aging is just the key to everything too,
and
to make it real.
Working, it's going to be like my heart's going to break. I just, it's
going to be good. I'm really putting the positive vibe. I'm putting the positive vibes.
And the good thing is we'll all be in it together. It's not just affecting costumes. It's affecting every department, you know? So we'll all be motivating each other, I feel like, at the same time.
I think so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I think so.
We're getting close to the end of this wonderful conversation.
Oh
I'm having a great time.
We can be here for hours.
Yeah, we just started.
It does feel like we just started.
Stuff about season 4, Stranger Things.
Yes. Amy, you will be embarking on season 4 of Stranger Things?
I am slated. We started filming earlier before we shut down. I am going to be doing season 4. We don't have information about when it comes back, so you know I'm looking forward to getting back to work, but I don't have anything.
So the pandemic basically stopped you, like in March, or like everybody else when we
just
stopped.
like everybody else.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's on hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 jobs, and then we'll all have 5 jobs.
Right. I do think we'll see the studios will find, you know, capacity. People will be overlapping with jobs.
I don't know how they're going to. Well, first they have to finish what they stopped.
True.
They have, you know, all the people that have to go back and finish the project.
I think some things are just canceled. Like I was in a movie that just got canceled.
Really? They have so many new things ready to, you know, for that are, I guess, have been written for this type of disaster.
Yeah.
That they want to pull together, you know, and get that out there.
Yeah.
But
I can't give any secrets away.
Okay,
sorry.
no secrets.
You're gonna have
sorry,
to come back
everybody.
and tell us everything.
Oh, I'd love to.
What about Utopia now?
Yeah, Utopia this fall. 10 episodes. It's a really
Amazon, right?
Amazon.
Yeah. Great. Everybody
and
has
so that'll
Amazon,
stream, and that's something that's bingeable, and that's an exciting project. And I think if people are still at home in quarantine, they'll love watching that.
I think people are just now addicted to just binging, and because we've seen everything. I mean, like
I'm
Hulu.
looking forward to that myself.
Have you watched anything recently that you're excited about? Anything you've binged recently?
For me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been watching a lot of Latin TV on Amazon.
Okay.
Oh, fun.
Cool.
I've been
Cha-cha.
watching all of these. They're fabulous films and TV shows. I've been following.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun.
What about you,
It was fun. It was great for a change, you know. But now I'm addicted.
That's good.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
like,
ladies, this was just great having you.
I'm honored.
You're so refreshing.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Oh, lovely, and
You
we'll
don't
be
have
seeing
any
more of you,
preconceptions.
and you know, good luck with everything.
Thank
and
you.
Keep in touch.
I mean,
and,
thank you
know.
for your work because it's inspired so many of us that are coming up under you.
We
and
love hearing that.
it's just inspirational. The fact that you're
We are
doing
the
this.
icon, darling. We are the icons.
Well, thank you for being so lovely.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to thank Eddie Marks and Ragman.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie. We love you.
For all your needs. And I want to thank Mona May,
Yay.
Thanks, darling.
who's the most wonderful sidekick. Yeah, I'm getting used to this. I don't know. But
Thanks,
we're
darling.
we're gonna have to the dynamic duo
I
here.
think so.
Yes, it's perfect. You guys are wonderful.
And now having you have been very exciting. I really,
you.
I was thinking about, we don't really get to talk to, I hate to say a newbie,
Right.
It's like we don't get to hear what you feel or how you're progressing or how you're dealing with what you do with your actor, with your producers, with the story.
Yeah.
But you're like old school. I mean,
I would like to think that in a way. I think I've had great mentors that have taught me well, and I think it's a matter of just like observing each other's processes and finding what works best.
great.
So,
And
No,
having
I-
the passion. I think that's what I
Yeah.
think is the most important thing.
Passion,
It's passion,
of
I think, is
course.
number one thing that
we're
drives
all
us.
in
That
this because of that.
yeah.
It's like we
You wouldn't
can't
do it
help
if you didn't love
ourselves.
it.
We
'Cause
love
it
what
wouldn't
we
be
do.
worth your time.
Yes, and now what are you up to? What will you be doing?
Well, how can we find you? Yeah.
And where can we find you?
I do Instagram, so it's
Great.
just my name. It's Amy Parris, 2 R's in Paris.
Good.
I don't really do Facebook much, so it's really just Instagram.
Do you
Yeah.
have a website?
I don't have a website. That's something I've
Okay.
been working on during
Yeah.
quarantine.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
quarantine's been a
good.
good time to like do all the things you never take time to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So Instagram's the best way to get hold
well,
of
you
me.
get some nice things to show. So I
Yeah.
think show it to the
No,
world.
you have
Yeah,
good-
cool.
Yes.
Yeah. And you will find us at Designing Hollywood Podcast. Yes.
And
And
me on Instagram, which I'm popping and having some fun there. So check it out
Yes.
at It's Mona May.
Yay.
So see you all around.
is that what it's Mona
It's
May?
Mona May, yeah. ITSMONAMAY.
love that.
It's Mona
Okay.
May.
Yeah, she's here.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
And you
thank
could
you.
find us on all social media, our podcast. And hopefully we'll be entering a very fresh new phase in the business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we could be talking about what we're actually doing
Right.
right now.
Right.
Very soon. Very soon.
Yeah.
Yes. And
All right.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you,
Thank
darling.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
See you
guys.
soon,
Pleasure.
ladies.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Thank you.